Good morning, ladies and gents. Today, we're going to finish up combat, or at least hopefully we will. We'll get pretty darn close if we don't. There's a lot of pieces. I did a major rewrite last night over some parts that weren't sticking well with me. Specifically, the way in which we were handling NPCs and player characters, how they shared so much information but weren't actually the same class. That bothered the heck out of me. And so I kind of was playing around with certain ideas, trying to see what fit, what didn't, and finally I turned to looking at my architecture again, finding something wrong in it, and fixing stuff. And I'm just kind of playing around with like art decoration-y things. It's always fun to kind of mess with stuff and see like, okay, if I put it here, does that look right? If I, cluster more stuff here, maybe that looks better. Do you even see it if you, walk up this way? You kind of do. I'd be tempted to shift it a little further back just to make sure that like the player has it in view at least for one view. Whoops. I keep forgetting that walking straight forwards also leads me into the scripted fight, so. But yeah, anyway, in terms of combat stuff, let me quickly show off the changes I made, and then I'll kind of push on to the rest of the stuff that has to happen today, which honestly, we're most of the way there. We're so freaking close. Step one. I took the non-player character and the player character classes, which both had character name, they both had primary stats, they both had derived stats, they both had these to hit rolls and defense rolls and all that, and I merged them into one character mono behavior, which shouldn't be much of a surprise, right? The player character was already a mono behavior. The non-player character, this is where the trouble kicked in, because the non-player character was a scripted object. I figured I'd use Unity's create non-player character, and I'd just do that a whole bunch and have a bunch of characters that kind of floated around in my prefab section. As it turns out, it's much better for me to create prefabs out of the 3D models of the monsters, attach a character class or a character mono behavior to that instead. And so what you'll see is that if we go into prefabs and monsters, that the forest bat now lives here and has a character class attached to it. And it just kind of makes more sense this way. That's really the big thing. It just makes more sense to have it done this way. That way, if I ever place the monster in scene, he's got stats. I'm not doing this weird, like, well, here's the class, but then here's the model instance, and here's all the other things attached to it. No, it's all under the game object, and that's all we really care about. So, that said, I had to do a bunch of rearranging, but the nice thing that happened because of all this is that if you look at the, not the combat actions, the actual combat UI itself, things got a lot simpler. This used to be about twice its size in code length, and now that kind of squished down a little bit. A lot of stuff that was kind of iffy before or had a lot of if statements, like there's still some stuff like this left, but for the most part most of it is not like that at all, in fact. So that's kind of taken care of in many ways. One sec, I just realized I left the door open. I don't want to wake my housemates, so be right back. I love this house that I'm in, but it carries sound, especially at the bright early hours of the morning, like right now. So, so yeah, we're back to everything making sense again. We have some pretty simple, pretty straightforward stuff. You'll note that we can walk into our fight, and everybody still has their attack action, and then proceeds to do their thing. So the only thing we're not taking care of right now is we're not handling damage. So when you hit, you're not actually dealing anything. And then the other thing that's not going on is that the enemies aren't hitting back. And we need to handle that. So if we go through this combat UI, our process combat is here, and we just have an if you are a player character. And what we need to do is say, well, if you're not a player character, and then we need to figure out how to kind of take up time, how to code attacks, essentially, into monsters. Now, I was thinking about this, and I have some easy and some more difficult ways to do this. One would be that we could attach attacks as mono behaviors to things. That would be one way to do it. So I could say one possible attack would be an acid spray, and another possible attack would be this spell, and another possible attack would be this attack. And so then the enemies could choose between each of their attacks. And you could even say, here's the chance of this one happening, here's the chance of this one happening. And that would be kind of neat. So that's one way, and I think that's kind of how I want to handle this, right? Because everything in Unity is this, like, very mono-behavior centric information. Everything can be attached in an interesting way. So yeah, that was kind of my thought on how I would do that. So this would be a combat. I guess it's a combat action, for lack of better words. I'm actually going to look at names and see if I can't, because this has combat actions already in it. But this is the player storage mechanism. So, you know what, let's just quickly refactor this. We're going to call it the player combat action. And you are not just an attack action, you are a player attack action. Just because it has a slight variation to it in that, does it though? So we need what? It needs a name. The attack needs a description of some kind. Right now players get like swing sword, casts spell, equips item. The enemies should have some kind of text. We know that much. And the text should be something along the line of like, bat bites or bat scratches, right? So we need some kind of text in that way. I'm just going to scribble some of this down in front of me. So we need the text. What is on these pages? Oh. So let's see. We want the text. We need some kind of like damage roll. Or to hit roll. I guess to hit bonus. Because they're going to have their own stats already. So we know what their to hit rolls are going to look like. So having a hit bonus, having a damage amount, because that's something that I don't think damage amount, once again I have to go back to what this RPG system design looks like, because it's not actually something I've done a ton of, is stare at this thing and work out kinks. Game mechanics, it's probably here. Combat actions, okay, there's the actions. Damage resolution. Okay, yeah. So I need a weapon damage, essentially. Otherwise, they're not going to be able to calculate this. And they'll need... So the character will need an armor rating separate of everything else. I might be able to handle that differently. But, yeah, let's shift that back over here. Just so I can figure out what in the heck is going on. Yeah, so let's rename that, because I'm not a huge fan of it being named combat action when it's not specific enough for my tastes. No? Can I not do a move and rename? Usually when you right click and drag, it doesn't just say move, it says move and rename. Just so that you don't lose any history attached to these. But I'm not seeing the rename part of it. That's really weird. Oh well, I'll just rename it. Don't really care about history a ton. There we go. Player combat actions. Because that's exactly what they are. They're, you know, standard player combat actions. They're not anyone else's. So now that we have player combat actions, we need non-player combat actions. I could just say character combat actions. Because anyone else who is not a player character is just a character. Character combat actions. I'll just name it combat action. If only because the brevity here doesn't hurt us. Alright, string description. What did I say I wanted? I wanted a hit bonus and a weapon damage. And for now, I'm just going to leave it at those 3 pieces of information. Eventually, what we'll want to do is we'll actually dive in and go so far as to say, oh, well, this is, you know, damage type is going to be frost, and it's going to be a projectile, and here's the projectile game object that it's going to launch. Or we can say, here's the special effect to show. So we can kind of express combat action in a bunch of different ways eventually. For now, I don't care. I just want something that stores the information so we can check it, and then eventually we will be able to simply say, okay, look, you know, we want more information in here. We can update it and add more to it later. Let's say we have a byte, and the byte is going to be oh, let's see here. Let's put some headers here so we can figure stuff out later. So we have the actual combat stats. Actually, I'll call it action stats. And then the other thing here is we have the animation stats, or animation info. Yeah, I'll just call it animation. Yeah, that should be all I need. I'm trying to think of anything else going on here that I may want to have. Let's see here. What does the player combat action look like? They just have this like process action. I'm kind of tempted to make that just a general interface and then make use of it. Again, but I'll pass for now. Okay, so Combat UI comes along and says, hey, we're processing everyone's stuff. So if you're a player character, great, we have an action for you already. If not, we need to do the following, and I think I'm going to move, yeah, let's actually do that move I was talking about seconds ago. So I'm going to shift this interface over here, and we're just going to remove the player part. Better to use the refactor, just so I don't have to go through and hand manipulate a bunch of variables. All right. Okay, and we're going to do something very similar to the player combat action, at least for some of these. Although this is going to be a little more generalized because the monster actions are going to be a little more... thank you. Yeah, go away, Windows. The monster actions are going to be a little more generalized, so the players are going to be specific. I attack this monster with this weapon. I hit, I deal this much damage. Like, it's going to be a set thing. This is going to be similar, but not quite the same. I'm actually going to go so far as to even copy and paste the innards of this thing, this function, across. But we need to remember a few things. One, that we have a UI namespace. The other being, I know I don't have a target set. Does this really need to be a combat action? It really doesn't, actually. I keep flip-flopping on certain things here, and I'm kind of unsure, to be honest, exactly how this should be playing out. Some of this I'm architecting on the spot. Some of it I'm kind of taking care of as we go. Alright, character, and then we have another character, which is our target. Alright, and see how much easier that makes it? I don't have to write two process action functions, one for player characters and one for monsters. Like, this all gets encapsulated under the character, and then player character is just a specific kind of character. So, instead of attacks, we're going to say plus description. I'm gonna try and not butcher this name, but as usual, I have no idea how I would actually say it. The Duchy? The Duchy? Don't really want to butt in, but thought I would offer, maybe abstract out the combat action and have overloads for the process action dependent upon player character, non-player character, or monster. That's actually not a bad idea, especially since they tend to share a lot in common with each other. The problem I have with that, and the Deuce 2, there we go. The reason I don't want to do that abstraction right now, mostly is because the player because the player character's information is going to be coming from their weapon, versus a monster needs to have its information coming from this mono behavior. And so, yeah, I think I'll leave it as is right now, but I'll definitely keep that in mind. I think that might be a good way to go if this starts to get convoluted. That definitely would be a way to continue forwards without getting too messy in the future. So character name, description, target name, and if I did this right, it's not just bite, it's bites. This bite, this, bat bites. Character name, we wait for a second. We do the classic to hit and defense rolls. The standard combat stuff kicks in. We say it's a hit or a miss. That's fine. Wait for a second. If it's a hit, we roll up damage. And then we're done. So you'll note all of this completely disregards the fact that characters may or may not have... Okay, there we go. Yeah, we have health in character. So why don't we take care of that too? So our target current health, we're going to remove the damage from it. And there should be more to it than that. Oh, player characters need to have their UI update. Didn't think about that. For now, we're just going to put in a special case if target is a player character. Where is it? There should be like a... Does a player character really not have a way to update their own? Okay, this isn't public. This either needs to be public or we need a better way to trigger it. The problem being that, obviously, if I deal damage to it and its current health changes, we need some way for current health to update. I mean, I could put an on health change and then just put an event inside that gets thrown. That wouldn't be the worst thing ever. A little extra information for everyone to hold on to, but it definitely wouldn't be the worst thing I've done. Max health, current health. Yeah. Yeah, I think that's what I'm going to do. So we're going to move current health to a getter and setter. Oh, are we actually? Come to think of it. Okay, you know what? Here's a way to do this. Public get, private set. Alright, and now we're going to do the same thing here. And what we're going to do is we are going to write a public function for just dealing damage. And when you heal, we'll just deal negative damage. Or we'll maybe just write a different function. That actually probably is better. Public void deal damage. And then we say, uh-oh, current health minus equals damage. And we'll just make this virtual, so that the player character can do something similar without requiring a ton of work. Specifically, oh, I already have public functions. Cool. So here's our override. We do the base. And then once we're done with that, we update our UI. Now this is going to break some stuff. Specifically, okay, deal. Oh. Target dot deal damage. Damage. What else did we break? Oh, setting our current health and current energy. That's fine. Then why were you complaining? Cannot be used because its set is inaccessible. Oh, whoops. You should not be private. You should be protected. Protected essentially gives us the option of modifying a variable from a descendants class. Okay, good idea. Deal damage a negative maximum health amount. It seems a little weird to be doing things this way, but for now, this is the way to do it. The other way to do it, I guess, would be to have a reset health and energy. I'm just putting this in to make sure that if I ever add something to deal damage later, that we're not doing anything funny like playing sound effects or doing anything else bizarre while we're, having combat go. If the moment combat starts, everybody starts making sword noises or damage noises. We don't want that to happen. Alright, so here's our else, in which we actually have to pick one of these. So let's see, how are we gonna pick one? Because right now, okay, hit bonus, weapon damage will be like 3. I'm not actually quite sure what the weapon damage dice is attached to, so I need to handle that. And then also we need to look at our animator real quick. It is attack space bite, right? Or is it just one word? Attack bite. Never mind. Okay, attack bite. Although it's funny because the variable is attack space bite. Whoops. Yeah, okay. So let's... Yeah. Okay, attack space bite. Gotta remember that. Or actually, no I don't. I just have to write it down inside the prefab. Cool. There's the attack bite. All the information's encoded. We just have to pick this attack and then be done with it. So for now, we're going to say combat. Come on, combat action. We're going to go into our monster. So our participant dot get components in children. Actually, no, it's just get components. And then we pick a random one. So let's see here, combat action. And we're going to go through all of them right now. Alright, so we've got our combat action picked. We then yield, return, start coroutine, action dot, where is it? It was process action. And for us, it's a teensy bit more complex, mostly because we have the participant and we also haven't picked a target yet. So we're actually going to pick a random player character from our characters list. So and this will be characters random dot range. Oh, I love it when they line up like that. Like, it doesn't stay lined up for long, but oh, when it does, it's very pretty. I love when code does that. Also, I can't spell action, apparently, so let's fix that. Has some invalid arguments. What do you mean it has invalid arguments? Okay, we have the game object, which is our action resolution route. Yep. This is an IEnumerator, and it has 2 characters coming in. Participant is a character. Oh, whoops. That should be target, not characters. Alright, and there we go. So now they should hit back, should being the proper word here. I'm going to do one more quick thing here, because as it turns out, our player characters currently aren't dealing damage, I don't think. Let's see here, combat action, player combat action. Yeah, so we're getting the damage roll, but we're not actually dealing the damage. So target dot deal damage. Eventually we'll have to do checks on, by the way, if you're dead, you know, just kind of explode. Like, that's one thing that definitely has to happen. So the rogue attacks the bat, yay, we hit it. The cleric attacks the bat, yay, we hit it. Okay, so everyone's attacked. Now the bats are going to go for us in return. I actually want to see a bat hit. So let's actually go into our 3 bats and give them some pretty insane buffs just to make sure that they hit things. So we'll make this hit bonus like 20. And then we'll set up our attacks. And once again, we can still see our rolls happening down here. All the information is kind of scrolling past at decent rates. Wait, how am I still missing? Oh, I'm not adding the to hit in. That's why. Okay. Plus, let's do this. Here's your hit bonus. And we'll deal with damage separately. Damage kind of needs its own way in. Okay. There we go. Now, this should be a little more unfair. Oh wait, no, I haven't tweaked the stats back. So you're probably all gonna miss again, unless I can go fast enough. Nope, was not fast enough. So their hit bonus is cranked up to 10. Come on. Use that hit bonus. Because the party's not doing too poorly. Really? Are they still failing to hit things? Okay, 100. That is the most unfair of a hit bonus I can attach to these things. Because honestly, this is kind of absurd. I should be able to hit something. Also, I can't help but note that the players are doing upwards of between 10 and 20 damage, and that our characters don't have more than, like, 28 health. So the bats are actually, like, eating the characters significantly quickly, as long as they hit the character. Like, you'll note, our mage is at half health, the cleric is also at half, and the rogue is at half as well. So holy crap. That is definitely a thing. We might want to really take care of how we handle this. I'm being attacked by texts, and I have no idea who these are from or what's going on. Okay. So we need to handle death. That's kind of the only thing left here when right now there's really no way for us to, like, kill anything, right? The bats don't disappear when they run out of health. Also, the bats aren't playing their animation is another thing. We also need to fix where the UI placement is because, well, holy crap, this is stupid, having this cover, like, what the monsters are or where they are on the screen. So there's definitely some work to be done. Oof, yeah. Also, you can't read. A lot of this text just kind of disappears in the dark. So we should put outlines around most of it, if only just to make it readable for now. Although I'm tempted to put a background. Crusaders of the Dark Savant did a really good job with their background. The downside being that you tend to lose a lot of real estate on your screen. So right now you'll note that the entire screen is kind of in camera view. And the way they took care of that was they said, well, here's your entire screen, but we're going to shrink it and make it take up like this much space. It also doesn't help that I'm inside an editor right now, and that the editor does tend to mess with the size of things. Technically, I think my best size is more like this. This is a kind of more indicative of what my final kind of game size will look like. So it's something to keep in mind. At least, let's see if I can... I don't think I'll be able to find a background very quickly. At least not a clean one that I can use. I'm just going to look at OpenGameArt real quick and see if there's something here I can do. No music, no sound effects, don't care about anything else. They have some really cool stuff here, and I'm just kind of hoping upon hope that maybe there's something that fits this style. I don't think so, though. At least not that I can think of off the top of my head. Like, we've got a lot of our UI stuff that we've already pulled from. I don't really know what more there is that we can grab. Short of, I suppose we could just make a UI for our own game. That would kind of make some sense, wouldn't it? We already have the UI canvas floating around, so why not do that? Like, we're already using this to some degree, so we could actually just abuse that further, possibly. And guys, if you have any questions, suggestions, anything, please feel free to throw them my way. You know, this is not completely one way. Hopefully you guys are picking up neat tricks or things to do in Unity or good design or anything else. This hopefully is not just a Rob talks at his screen and you guys sit here quietly, you know, either ignoring me or just kind of curious what's going on. You pop in and then you disappear again. Let's see. I want to try a couple more things. Let's add some of the pretty in, because we know we have it, right? So I want the enemy attack to cause the... Yeah. Enemy attack should cause... the animator to trigger. So we're going to say get component in children animator, and then we're going to say set variable or set boolean, and we already know the name, right? We have the animation variable, and we're just going to set it to true. And then I'm hoping there's some way to just like immediately unset it. So pretty much wait for a second, unset it. Because we could technically do this. We just wait a frame long enough for the animator to trigger, followed by unsetting it. So when I say, okay, we're attacking the bats, there's no real effect for the players, but now, oh, and the mage hit. That's like a first. But then, okay, there's an attack, and there's an attack, and there's an attack. That's pretty cool. Okay, so we've got the animation's death, right? The big thing. Let's put that in for monsters first. And then everything else we'll handle after that. Let's see here. So player combat actions. So when we say deal damage, we need to do... Let's see. I'm trying to think of anything else, like how we need to make sure we handle everything. Part of it being that we need to remove the character from the initiative list. Or we could honestly just do a null check on the initiative list as we pass over it, would be the other way to handle this. Let's try that. So the target deals damage. That's great. If the target current health is less than or equal to 0, then we say destroy, no, not destroy me, we're going to kill the target's game object. And then the combat UI just needs one more step here to say, well, if the participant is null. Is that really the way to do this, though? I don't think it is. I really don't think it is. Yeah, I think we need to pass some information back to the combat UI. So let's just take our combat UI and make it another parameter. So we have the character, combat UI, yeah, I like that better. Because what this allows us to do is this allows us to tell the combat UI very specifically, you need to destroy this object, you need to take care of it. Alright. Combat UI, you need a public function, a gruesome one called kill character. And we're going to say if the target is a player character, and we're not going to handle this part quite yet, but there should be, yeah, we'll put a return there. If it's not a player character, it's a little more in-depth for us. For example, oh gosh, okay, this, I'm going to start shifting things about now. I don't want this to be an array anymore. I want this to be a list. That's part 1. Player attack action. What? Oh. And we just have to get everything to kind of play nice now that this change is in place. There we go. And this doesn't, let's see, wait, no, where'd it go? Yeah, this is my combat UI. This doesn't actually need to get instantiated. Oh wait, yes it does. I'm sorry, I'm thinking of, okay, opponents does not get instantiated. Great. Okay, so we say kill character. First off, opponents, we need to remove the target from it. We also need to remove, where'd that initiative list go? We also need to remove the character from the initiative list. And then finally, we're going to call destroy on the game object. So now when I actually, ooh, hello, something's wrong. Argument is out of range. What do you mean argument is out of range? Who's calling this? On party navigation index. Okay. Something in the scripted fight is unhappy about this new change that we just made. There we go. Sometimes when switching from arrays to lists, there are some fundamental changes that have to happen in your system. It's not the worst thing ever. It just means that, man, how much health do these things have? They're taking a decent beating and still getting by. Let's see here. I am really curious. Forest bat. Let's look at the debug information on you. Oh, let's look at the debug information on your... Where's your character? Here's your combat action. But I'm not noting... They have to have characters. Otherwise, a lot more stuff would be going wrong. Am I not doing this right? What am I doing something incredibly silly? Instantiate game object, new monster. No. I just... Okay. The forest bats. Okay, there is a game character here. And if I hit debug, okay, there's their current, okay. So if you hit debug, you can actually see certain things kicking in. You can see that, oh, this one now only has 6 health. This one has 20. This one has 20. course, if my characters could ever hit things, they'd probably kill them. Oh, it's not destroying the right piece of the puzzle here. When the character dies, the combat UI is it's destroying. Okay, we need to destroy target.gameObject. We need to nuke the whole thing because we're only nuking right now the character class, which is why I couldn't find it before. So okay, you're at 3 health, you're at 4 health, you're at 20, you're at 20. Oh, you'll note one of the bats is dead already. And now that there are only 2 bats left, there are only 2 attacks against our characters. Ah, look at this. Look at it go. Uh-oh. Type of character has been destroyed, but I'm still trying to access it. Where? Oh, the characters aren't shifting their actions to the next target if they can't find it. That's something I didn't really plan on, honestly. I need to figure that out. Because if you have 2 characters, one attacks and kills something, and then in the same turn, a second character attempts to attack the already dead creature, what happens, right? If I cast a spell at something that's already dead, does it do anything? That is a good thought that I didn't actually consider. Let's see, combat action. So this is the monster combat action. This isn't the one I care about. So you have combat UI access. So we actually can check if the character is dead and find a new target. So if your current health is dead, we should probably find you a new target first. So combat UI. Let's see here. Opponents, great. If the character is null or the current health is less than or equal to 0, we should probably take care of this. And that means that we're going to look through the opponents and just grab a random opponent who is in range. So for now, let's see. So I want to put a couple pieces in here. First off, if the combat UI says there are no more opponents, then obviously we just break. So yield break is essentially the way to get out of a coroutine in a destructive fashion that doesn't actually return anything interesting. It just stops the action and it's done. So if there aren't any monsters left, great. If there are monsters left, we need to pick a new target. So we're going to say target is equal to combat UI dot opponents random dot range from 0 to combat UI dot opponents dot count. So we're just going to pick a random opponent and keep wailing on it. That should do the trick. Eventually I'll want to introduce stuff like not just picking a new target, but picking a new target in range. I might write a helper function to handle that. I might also want to handle things like, well, you know, this character is casting a spell, so we need to retarget the spell at a new group of monsters instead of a single monster. So let's see if that helps. Let's see. Oh, let's do one more thing. If the combat UI detects at the end of combat that nothing is left, that there's nothing to do, so if opponents.count is less than or equal to 0, then we need to do something different. We need to probably just destroy our game object, right? I'm trying to think of like because we don't want the UI to keep going. We want the UI to stop. We'd want to eventually, so to do, we will give out experience, loot. Is there anything else? Trigger level ups. Yeah, that's it. That's all I can think of for now. So we'd give out experience, loot, trigger level ups, and kind of leave it at that. Oh, we do need to turn the player controls back on, because you'll note when we start combat, the scripted fight, whenever it starts the fight, it goes into the party and proceeds to kill the party's ability to actually move. Right? It calls begin combat. I think I'm going to call party.end combat. How do I find the party is a good question. Because I already have all the characters. You know, for now, we'll just pass a reference of the party along. So here's our combat UI, our combat UI script dot party is this. There we go. Now we have a way to access it. So now we have a begin combat and an end combat. And we can actually do a lot of the loot giveaway and stuff in here. So movement enabled is true. Yeah, that should be all I need. I mean, it's either that, or I could also say destroy the combat UI script, but I think the combat UI script can take care of itself. So, yeah. Party dot end combat. I'm just going to put that down there because giving out experience and loot and all that should happen before you start moving again. Cool. So let's fight things. Let's kill them. Let's see if we can follow combat all the way through from start to finish too. Also, okay, one final thing. These bats need to be able to hit things. And also, everyone's dealing a lot of damage. Like, the player characters, I'm not sure if that's, like, we're dealing more than half of their health in a hit. And that seems kind of absurd. Let's see here. Here's the to-hit roll. Here's the defense roll. Here's our damage roll. Okay, right now I'm saying everyone has a weapon stat of 10. That's probably not going to be the case. Like, one thing we could do here is we could say actually weapon dice, or weapon. Yeah, I'll put the weapon stat there for now. You don't take 0. I know you don't. As a player, we're going to say your combat stat is, I don't know, 4 for now. And then, oh, whoops, this should be the damage. Weapon damage. There we go. I just kind of want to make sure that all of this ties in correctly, because otherwise, and we'll call this weapon skill, and we'll just tie this in as a static bonus that you can just get. And once again, that's going to cause a couple compiler errors. No biggie. Definitely nothing we haven't dealt with before. That should help. Let's see if that evens things out a little bit, especially since now I can go into the forest bat itself, undo the debug mode here, but I can now say, okay, your hit bonus is going to be like, I don't know, 8, so you can actually land a hit. And the weapon damage being 3 means that it is rolling not huge dice. I think 3 is a d6, if I remember correctly. If we look at our game util, yeah, it's rolling a 6-sided die. So that's not bad. That's not going to deal a ton of damage. Now granted, this is going to slow combat down. I walk forwards, we proceed to wail on each other. You'll notice the numbers are a lot closer already. 19 and 17, 16 and 12, 14 and 17, 16 and 15, like that's great. Has been destroyed, but I'm still trying to access it. Really. Okay, who calls kill character? Okay, does deal damage do anything else? No. It really doesn't. What is going on here? Alright guys, I have to unfortunately sign off soon. I do have to get to work. I've got a bunch of stuff that needs getting done before I take off for the day. So I need to hop out of here in a moment. I really want to fix this bug. I'm really curious what's going on here. It's like 2 characters are still trying to target the same one. Missing reference. Object of type character has been destroyed, but I'm trying to access it. I thought I was null checking, if I remember correctly. Like my player character, when I say, here's my player combat option, and I say, if my target, oh, whoops, if target is null, or the target's health. There's our problem. Let's try this again. But this time we're going to kill the things. Combat will end, and we can continue walking about. Hopefully. Cool, we killed one. Wow. I might need to boost these bats' ability to dodge, because this seems insane. Oh, okay, they got the mage. Yes. And that's all they're going to do. And later we'll add in more actions. Right now, attack being the only action does not make combat terribly satisfying. But eventually we will get in here. We will... wow, they really like that cleric, and they're really not doing anything to get the cleric either. So it looks like it still takes about 3 hits to down one of these monsters. And you'll note, monsters are dead. And we're back to our usual. And we can even walk over that spot, and it doesn't cause the combat to restart. So we're in pretty good shape, guys. Alright. Thanks for joining me. It has been great. We got combat kind of finished. I mean, it's finished in that we can do an end-to-end experience with combat, and now we can add more things. We can make it prettier. We can handle more stats. Right now, you'll note energy doesn't change at all. So I want the energy bar to start dipping as they start to take action, so you can't just fight forever. Also, we can balance combat out a little more, so it's a little more interesting. Give it more actions so that it's a little more interesting as well. Just kind of take care of all the little bits and pieces that make this combat exciting and interesting and more fun than just me sitting here clicking on stuff. So yeah, thanks guys for joining me. If you are here for the first time, I encourage you to hit the follow button below. You come back, watch more, see this game in development, kind of watch it make progress. I do tend to do some content stuff off stream, so you guys may have noticed over the last couple days that the terrain has slowly been growing outwards as I kind of generate more and more terrain It is a tile-based system, so it's a little slow sometimes, but I can figure stuff out when I'm not too distracted. Oops, these should be under terrain. Honestly, I need to just come up with like a terrain system or a terrain tool. That'll really be the fastest way to handle a lot of this, so that I can place a terrain piece and then say, okay, cool, I've placed the terrain piece. Let's, you know, keep going with that. And just have it auto place the stuff, instead of right now I actually do a copy paste, drag it, and then fix it. Right? And that's new terrain. We'll see. I have to come up with a lot better ways to handle some of this. Alright guys, thanks again. Hope you have a good rest of your day. I will probably stream at some point tomorrow. Unfortunately, Saturdays being as chaotic as they tend to be, I'm not exactly certain when I'll be online to do so. But I will definitely be streaming tomorrow, so keep an eye out, and I will be online. Thanks again. Hope you guys have a good day.